I would like to tell you that in 1885, an Episcopal mission church was formed here in Edneyville. This granite church was built in 1910. Barbara, am I correct that the door is open? Mm-hmm. The door is open. You can either eat in the fellowship hall. They've kindly given us permission to eat our lunch here in the fellowship hall, either before or after you eat. You can walk through and take pictures of this beautiful granite cemetery that is now being considered by the Henderson County Historic Resources Commission for a historic landmark status. So, because of the architecture primarily and the age. So this is 1910, and it's a beautiful, beautiful Episcopal mission church. After we do that, you take your pictures and we eat. Whenever everybody's ready, we're going to walk across the street down here to the St. Paul Cemetery. And we'll talk about that then, okay?
Who designed the church, do you know?
What?
Do you know who designed the church?
Barbara, who designed the church?
Who designed the church?
She's a
Father.
lighter.
Yeah, Father Wilcox was priest here. He was priest at St. James, Hendersonville. And his mission was to start little mission churches. And St. Paul was his favorite one. There was one at Upward. And
One back toward town that's off the...
St. Matthew is over.
Mary, Matthew?
Yeah.
Is it Matthew?
Yeah, and there was one at Etowah. There was a church here before this, and the wind blew the church off the foundation. And that's when they replaced it with this stone architecture. And I imagine that Father Wilcox had a lot to do with the design.
They're always in the cross, right? Huh? They're always in the cross.
Yeah, all Episcopal churches will face the east because that's the direction our Lord will return. And it's in the shape of a cross. Oh, and Barbara Lackey. Okay.
In the grocery store. It really is vibrant. It's gorgeous.
Well, she said they had 35, so they probably will.
Our priest at the time, at one time, a little boy played ball out here and broke Christ's face on that one. We had to get it replaced. But the wonderful thing is, Laws can come and fix it. The stained glass company.
People in this cemetery. This is a community cemetery. It's considered a community cemetery. By that I mean it is not part of the church. The church does not own nor maintain this cemetery. Even though this is called St. Paul Cemetery, it is not part of the Episcopal Church. Everybody got that? Jake?
So this started before the church
Jacob
was
Lyda,
built even
the pioneer.
with
Yeah.
these
Right
fields
here.
around.
Yeah.
So it really was.
First Lyda that we know of here into Henderson County now. We think his father is over there at Davidson River in Transylvania. But he was the first one to come out here into the Edneyville community, we think. All these people are Lyda descendants. So you're going to see a lot of last names: Lauder, Sumner, Flack, Whitesides, Freeman, and all these names. But they're all Lyda descendants.
Right.
We got that?
Right.
The lower section, back down in there, and I'll take you some to see Butler Owens' grave in a minute. is a black section for the black community here in Edneyville. They are descendants of George Owens and Butler Owens, who are buried down there. Butler Owens was very famous here in Henderson County. They were freed blacks. They were not slaves. And they bought land here in Edneyville in the 1840s, way before the Civil War. They were freed blacks. Their ancestors were in the 1790s on the census records. This apple orchard around here is owned by Cleo Waters, a black apple grower. We've got 2 or 3 black apple growers in Henderson County. So all of this orchard here is Cleo's, and that over there is Cleo's, and I think I saw him riding through on his tractor earlier.
We join land with them, and they're good neighbors.
They are descendants, Owens descendants. So even though you're going to see a lot of black names out here like Hayden and Waters and Russell and Montgomery and Laws and
Payne.
Little John, they all go back to these Owens descendants, okay? Butler Owens joined the 25th North Carolina Infantry Regiment Edney's Grace Confederate during the Civil War, and we've got all of his history, and he surrendered with the Confederate Army at Appomattox Courthouse. His grave is down there, and he was a free black. So, and the Sons of Confederate Veterans did a big ceremony down there.
What was his name again?
Butler Owens. Charles Washington Freeman is buried here. He served in the Philippine-American War, as did Gus Lyda, who died from electrocution after the Philippine-American War ended. There are 8 other Civil War veterans buried here. Other persons with grave sites here include Thomas Andrew Washington Lyda, who was postmaster of a small post office, the Roosevelt Post Office, from 1900 to 1907. He died in 1926. His father, Andrew Washington Lyda, served in the Civil War, was captured by the Union, and was confined at the POW camp on Rock Island, Illinois, where he died. So his grave site is at Rock Island, Illinois. Andrew Andy Monroe Lyda was one of Henderson County's first apple growers. He worked with the North Carolina Cooperative Extension Service to encourage the planting of apple trees in the county in the 1920s and 1930s.
That's my grandpa.
And he also constructed the Beehive Inn. The Beehive Inn was built in 1907 and was one of the county's early hotels. And Barbara's going to take us, after we visit Miss Montgomery, to see some of the cottages still standing. John Andrew Flack, who's the Flack graves are down there, built the Flack Hotel. It was a 4-story, 50-room structure in 1915. And after his death, his son, John Hope Flack, ran the hotel. He was a school teacher and an early letter carrier. Charlie Osting's grave's down here somewhere. He was a private first class with the Army's 325th Lighter Infantry 82nd Airborne Division, and was killed in action January 30th, 1945 in combat following the Battle of the Bulge. And I already told you about the orchards. And when we leave here, we'll spend about 10 minutes, let you take pictures. We're going to walk across the street, and then we're going to Miss Montgomery's home. And there were also a black one-room school, not where her home is. The center of her home is the old black one-room school. There were also early black churches in the community, an Episcopal and a Methodist. They both later closed. And most of the members of the black community here in Edneyville attend Blue Ridge Baptist Church, which is down here on the right. We will pass it. So then we're going to go to first to Ruth Montgomery's home and then over to the Beehive Cottages. So spend about 10 minutes in here, okay?
You know where that